This video will be largely about this dot, this purple dot. It is the haplogroup QM242, and it's the Amarant haplogroup. It dominates the Americas, so that's why I call it, and others call it the Amarant haplogroup. So now, what does this dot here do? What does it do in Arctic Siberia? Next to, or part of, permafrost. It's a dead zone. So what does it do here? First, I will localize it a bit. This is Siberia, this is Russia, this is Europe. So this is Nova Zembla as a reference. This is the upriver, and this is the Yenisei River. So it's on the Yenisei River, but relatively close to the upriver. And it's west of the permafrost dead zone. I call it like that. So I hope to make clear why I call it like that. So the ancient cultures are over here, where the green is. So I claim that the Amorites went all the way through. Let's keep it simple and say it is this way. And then once in this purple dot with high frequency of the Amarant haplogroup, they spread to the old cultures: China, Mongolia, India, Mesopotamia, Saudi Arabia, Levant, Anatolia. Okay, so what do the Amarant here, or what does their haplogroup does here? High up in the Arctic region. I will show you a little bit better. This is the map that I will use, but it's quite inconvenient. It looks for me like upside down, so I turn it around and I come back to the same place. So this is upriver, this is Nova Zembla, and this is a purple dot here. So it's in the heaviest of permafrost zones. What do Africans do there? And in fact, they should have to cross all this way through one of the deadliest, harshest permafrost regions of the world, to Beringia, to cross over and to end up again in the second harshest permafrost region of the world. So why would they do that? And I go back for a minute. Where is this all about? This dot is used to explain by consensus to say, okay, after out of Africa, they gathered here, and from here they crossed Beringia and populated the Americas all the way to South America. So just to show you the reason why I'm showing you this, okay, I turn it around and I say this strip is in the Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle. It's 100% in the Arctic Circle. This is the purple dot, and they have to travel in the Arctic Circle until they can enter North America, and then later on to South America, and so on. So this again, this is Nova Zembla, this is the upriver, this is the Yenisei River. So it's quite ridiculous, this trip through the harshest permafrost. I call them on purpose dead zone. This is a dead zone. I will argue further on. So, okay, and now we come here. So this is the same region. This is the region of the purple dot, of the supposed region where the Africans, out of Africans, arrived and would eventually cross Beringia to populate the Americas. That is all the way here. Okay. So from Africa, they got here. And this is a frequency map of the B allele, blood group B. So you see that what started here, or ended here, is blood group B. Blood group B. And if they really had started from here, the future Amarants, the out of Africans, that will turn Amarants, which is also incredible by themselves, such a small dot to turn into all Amarants. And especially, as I showed you, it's in the Arctic region. This is almost, well, let's say unbelievable that Africans would kind of stack up here to pass the harshest permafrost region of the world, real dead zone, to pick up the dead zone on the other side. This is not permafrost, this is blood group B. So okay, this should have been O, because it ends up as O. This should have been O. It's not pure O. It's not 100% or 90% O. It should have been, because it will end up giving existence to a blood group O, and O is recessive blood group. So that's impossible in the first place. So this is not O. This is B. One of the few places where there's a high frequency of blood group B allele in this map. So, and it doesn't migrate at all to Beringia, and it doesn't migrate at all into the Americas. So it doesn't make sense. So I claim this is not the Africans that went from Africa to here. This is the Amarants that come in and look for the south of Asia. And so this makes sense. Amarants, this should be the route. It's only 3,000 kilometers. So they should come in here, form the purple dot because they are Q, and then they can transform O. They are O. You've seen that before. O can transform in D by interbreeding with B, or by direct hybridization, which I will defend later on. They gather here and they go. It's a very frequently used route by Amarants. They come in here. This is one of the main entries, one of the oldest entries. They cross all the way to Altai with Denisova Cave. That's why the Neanderthal also descended this way. The Denisovan descended this way. The Denisovan went to the east, and the Neanderthals went to the west. What I mean is all migrations of Amarants ended here, went to Altai, and then found their way to several cultures. This is Indus Valley culture that will be founded here by the Amarants. And this is China. You see, it's close to Japan, but it's a very old blood group. and it is overrun. So you don't see it in one go anymore. You just go back 1 minute. So you see that this Q, the other map was blood group B. This is the Amaranth haplogroup Q. So you see that it went to Korea, China, Yellow River, Yangtze River, Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Philippines, Indonesia, which, if it were in the Ice Age, was also called Sahul here, sorry, and Sunderland here. You find it back, other old cultures, India, Iran, Mesopotamia, Saudi Arabia, Levant, Syria, Anatolia, Black Sea, and you see other dots here. And in other more detailed maps, you see they arrived in Europe as well, but later. Okay, so that's these maps of the permafrost to show that it's impossible for them to have gone from this purple dot that is used by consensus to explain the population of the Americas. It's an impossible route, especially for out Africans. So I explained that in fact it's the Amarants that go down and found the cultures. We will find haplogroup Q here. I just showed it, but you can have details maps of it, so you can follow the Amarant haplogroup forming the ancient cultures. Then again, if it's not early enough for the consensus theory that they crossed Beringia, well, possibly even this bridge isn't there anymore because it starts to crumble down after the maximum of the Ice Age. This is apparently a Russian map, and it shows non-permafrost, but it's still Russia. It's still and permafrost. And this is the region of the purple dot. This blue is permafrost. It's not purple dot. This is the purple dot. And these outer Africans should have traveled so far to lock themselves up in pure permafrost. This is a Russian map, and it shows what is permafrost. This is not permafrost, and it's under a frozen sea. It's even today, at least in winter, with climate change, this is all frozen in the winter. So this is a dead zone. And just to show, if it was not if the ice bridge was still there to cross, there are several other problems. One of the problems is that the rivers don't help the crossing. This river flows opposite to the crossing that they have to make. And there's another thing: if the ice bridge was molten, then any error and the current will take the navigators to the Arctic. That is the end. That is the end. That you start from a permafrost dead zone, that the rivers don't help, the topography doesn't help, and if you have one error in navigation, you end up in the Arctic. Here again, topography doesn't help because they would come in over here, so they come over the permafrost and end up in mountains. And here, this is a glacier during the ice ages. So nothing helps, but just here again, permafrost zones, continuous, discontinuous. 10 to 90% cover with permafrost. So this is Beringia. They come in permafrost again, and here are the mountains. So they have almost to cross. They have to cross Alaska and a significant part of Canada to get to the United States. That's only the beginning of the voyage. And I show this map because this is one of the oldest routes, and it's much less far because all maps are deformated. Google Earth is one of the few that is not deformated because it's a globe, but this is only 3,000 kilometers. It's often forgotten. This trip is 3,000 kilometers from extreme north of North America to Nova Zembla, which is Siberia, Russia. So this is the oldest route. It's only 3,000. It is misleading, the map, for not being a globe map. And this could be the other way, and this is much shorter. And this is with the North Atlantic current. And if you want to explain the population here, this could be overland, of course, but I still suggest that there could have a secondary movement, also from the North America to Nova Zembla. It's quite easy to go down the Ural Mountains here, and you will end up more or less on the Caspian Sea. And this is haplogroup R. This is us, modern humans, and we used at least partially the same route, but we crossed over here, and we didn't really stay in this permafrost region because this haplogroup R is in the Holocene, and they are not so resistant as the Q, so they cannot even survive. And why Q had no interest in turn over here, the Q is still here. The Q could hold on, form a stronghold in a region that R would hardly survive. And R has no further interest because later migrations of R would be like dominantly this one with the North Atlantic giant.